I had broken my arm when I was 14 years old, and I had surgery, and the doctor prescribed me hydrocodone
At 14.
at 14. Yeah, it was 15 pills in the bottle, and I had a refill.
And when the doctor gave you this was under, like, you got this from the pharmacy and were able to just hold it?
Yeah, my parents picked it up, and they hid it from me, and I didn't know why they hid it from me at that point. But I was actually playing a video game with one of my friends who was a lot older than me, and he told me, like, I told him I broke my arm, and like I couldn't really hold the controller because my arm was broke. But then he was telling me, he asked if I got any pain pills. I was like, yeah, I did get a prescription, and he said if I crush them up and snort them, like it's gonna be a really good high.
Welcome to Pesci's Recovery Corner. This is a recovery podcast where we talk about all things recovery. Drug addiction, alcoholism, mental health. People that come on this podcast talk about how they've overcome their demons. We also want to respect all paths of recovery because everybody has their own path. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and like and share it with everybody. We really want to get the word out and try to help as many people as we possibly can. Today I have a very special guest. It's my friend Micah. Welcome, Micah.
Hi, Pesh. Thank you.
Welcome to the corner. So, Micah, where did you first see me? On TikTok?
On TikTok, yeah, like almost 2 years ago, I saw you on TikTok.
And I was showing up in your FYP?
Yep.
And why do you think that would happen? Why would a guy that's like trying to be out there fighting the good fight against drug addiction and things like that end up on your FYP?
I was like pretty much struggling really bad back then, and I remember I'd like look up some sober things on like TikTok, and then
that's what I would imagine. Like, some kids are probably curious, so they try to look at things that have to do with sobriety, and that's where I just popped up on your thing.
Yeah, that's what happened with me. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about you and your upbringing. You are from where? Orange County, California?
Yep.
Okay, and which city?
Mission Viejo. Moved around a little bit, and then spent some time in the Philippines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Half Filipino, half white?
Half Filipino, half white, yes.
Okay. Handsome young man. All right, and growing up, did you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have one brother. His name's Noah. He's older than me.
Older than you.
Yeah.
And what was your childhood like? Good?
Yeah, it was actually like, I had like a really good childhood. It was like a nuclear family. Like my dad worked, stay-at-home mom, did good in school.
You did good in school?
Up until high school, yeah.
Up until high school. And then what happened? Did you start messing around?
I had been messing around before that, but I hadn't gotten to the point where I was like so dependent on the stuff. And then it just started going downhill.
When you say the stuff, what's the first age you were that you ever tried a substance?
10. I drank.
Drank?
Yeah.
How'd you get the alcohol at 10?
My dad's liquor cabinet.
Okay, which is usually a typical way that kids like to get some liquors.
Mm-hmm. And it didn't really become like, I didn't drink all the time. I just drank that like one time and nothing happened. It was like a shot or a beer or something.
Okay. Yeah. And then, so that was 10.
Yeah.
Then what did you get into?
I started drinking like way more heavily. And then it got to the point where I was the only one at the sleepover that was blackout drunk, and no one else had drank at all.
And this is when you were 10, 11, 12?
Yeah, 12.
Okay.
And then from there, I started vaping, and then that opened the door to like smoking weed. When
you were vaping, this was a high school thing?
Yeah, and even before high school, like middle school.
Middle school. If vapes are regulated, how was a kid that young getting vapes?
I know some people whose parents would buy it for them because they were trying to quit something. I know some people who would buy it from a vape plug, or there's just certain shops that don't care.
Some will just sell it to teenagers.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you started vaping, and did you like the flavor? Did you become addicted to the nicotine right away, or what?
Well, I know there's like a head rush that you get. And when I was vaping back then, I'd never get a head rush because I'd never like inhale it into my lungs. I just more like to look the part that like, oh, I'm vaping, I'm cool.
But when you say the head rush, does that mean that you hold it in, the hit?
I don't really know like the science behind it, but like I guess when you inhale it, into your lungs. It gives you like a nicotine rush or like
Quick
a
little-
dome. Yeah.
A dome. Okay, good. The terminology, I'm learning it. There's a lot of kids that find me on TikTok that often, if I talk about vaping or even, dabbing and things like that, a lot of kids will hit me up. They're way under the age of 18. They're probably around 12, 13, 14, 15 years of age. And they're often asking, like, how do I stop vaping? I think this is becoming a problem for me. And so you were vaping, and then what else did it become?
Smoking weed. It wasn't like I was vaping from a pen. It was the first thing I smoked. I was at the beach with my dad, and I found like this pre-roll cartridge in the sand, and it still had the joint in there.
Flower.
Yeah, and I actually saved it for like 2 weeks, and then I smoked it, and nothing happened.
You didn't do it for 2 weeks,
Yeah,
and you had never smoked THC
I'd
before?
never smoked THC before.
But you saved it because, like, wondering for 2 weeks, should I do this?
Yeah, I was scared. I was like, I don't want to become like an addict. And I heard stories about like people going crazy and like psychosis and stuff. So I was kind of scared, but I smoked it, and then nothing happened, and I didn't smoke weed for a long time after that.
So when you smoked, like, you didn't even get you high?
No, I smoked a joint. It was a pretty big joint. It was like that much.
Do you think you were smoking it wrong? Because I know, like, sometimes with weed,
I think I was smoking it wrong. Yeah.
yeah, you got to smoke it till it hits the back of your throat
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
and
wasn't
kind of
doing
burns
that.
a little.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably just smoking it like just puffing it.
Yeah, like a cigar.
Right. Okay. So then, but you were already vaping from before?
Yeah, I'd already been vaping, and I was even like scared doing that because I hear stories about people's like lungs collapsing and popcorn lung and like people having holes in their throat that they need. So I was scared to get like hooked on that.
And it's interesting, like, a lot of the teenagers that do find me, you can tell when I'm talking to them, they've been researching this stuff. Like, there's that curiosity to use it, but there's also the curiosity to learn from it and see like what the downfalls could be, what kind of side effects could happen, how bad it could be for you health wise.
Yeah, I was very cautious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then after vaping or smoking weed, did you smoke more weed later down the line?
Yeah, actually, I hadn't smoked weed for a while. I was just drinking and vaping, and I had broken my arm when I was 14 years old, and I had surgery, and the doctor prescribed me hydrocodone.
At 14.
At 14, yeah. It was 15 pills in the bottle, and I had a refill.
And when the doctor gave you this was under, like, you got this from the pharmacy and were able to just hold it?
Yeah, my parents picked it up, and they hid it from me, and I didn't know why they hid it from me at that point. But I was actually playing a video game with one of my friends who was a lot older than me, and he told me, like, I told him I broke my arm, and like I couldn't really pull the controller because my arm was broken.
Mm-hmm.
But then he was telling me, he asked if I got any pain pills. I was like, yeah, I did get a prescription. And he said if I crush them up and snort them, like, it's going to be a really good high.
So, like, and I see this with my girlfriend's son too. He's 9 years old, and some of the people that he plays video games with are older.
Mm-hmm.
So there's yet another way that, like, older kids are educating younger kids on doing drugs.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. And so your parents hid them from you. Why do you think they did that?
I think it's because they didn't want me using them a lot. Like, they had only given them to me once. They didn't want me using it at all.
As needed for pain.
Yeah.
Legitimate pain.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they hid it from you, did you go find them?
I went and found them, yeah. And then I crushed 2 of them up and made this just giant line because I didn't know what a line was.
Yeah.
Like, at that point, I didn't even know what most drugs were. Like, I knew there was...
Was there any fear within your little young self that I'm doing a line of this stuff based off of what a guy told me on a video game that I was playing with?
No, because I had trusted the guy, and like I'd seen movies about it. And, like, I didn't think it was the same thing as, like, you know, shooting up or like smoking meth.
When you did the line, did it hurt your nostrils?
Yeah, it like burned the whole side of my head that I snorted it on.
And did it get you as high as the guy told you it would?
Oh yeah.
Did you fall in love with that?
From that very point, I fell in love with that. I used them all up, and then I ran out and didn't know what to do. So, you know, I did the next best thing I could think of and ask around everyone I knew who was like kind of doing that stuff, like acid or mushrooms. I would ask them, do you know where to get hydrocodone? And I eventually found a guy who could get me them.
Let's back up to the people that you said that you started asking around. How old were you? 14.
I was 14.
So there was other 14-year-olds that were already doing mushrooms, acid. Because I got a lot of youngsters that ask me the same question all the time. Like, I've been smoking weed or dabs or pens or all that stuff. But what do you think if I did a little bit of LSD? Because my friends are doing it.
Yeah. It was like at the start of COVID too. So my classes just got online and like I didn't know what to do with myself really. And then there was this group of people who would just go out and party and have fun. I was like, oh, I want to be like that.
During the COVID times?
During the COVID times. And I was like, okay, I see these people doing it. I'm kind of friends with them, but I want to get what I want. Like, I didn't even like I think I was like smart enough at that point to understand that like I was forming a bad habit, but I just wanted it more.
Had you ever done acid or mushrooms yet?
I had not done acid or mushrooms yet.
Okay. So then you found a plug.
I found a guy who could get me them.
How old was he about?
I don't know. I didn't even know his first name. I just knew he had like some moniker online because I messaged him through Snapchat.
And that was like a way of being able to obtain substances.
Yeah. And
why is that on Snapchat? Because the message goes away?
I think it's just, the easiest place to do it. Like you can make a new Snapchat account, or Telegram is another one.
Telegram is definitely one that's been used a lot for people that are distributing substances. Now, so he was able to get that for you. What is it, a delivery service, or you got to go pick it up somewhere, or what?
Yeah, he'd go deliver it to me, and like, I didn't think there was anything wrong with it either, because like I had heard, the stories and seen the movies and whatnot about like people going to like a corner to pick up their drugs. I thought this was like a bougie thing, like some guy's delivering me some stuff.
So when you were 14, like how old was this guy about?
I think he was like 30.
Oh, so he's older.
He's an older guy, yeah.
He's an older guy, straight out there slinging dope.
Yep.
Okay, so then you got, was it the same stuff?
I'm not sure if it was. It definitely hit a lot harder than what I had been doing.
Is it a possibility that it was cut with fentanyl?
I think for sure it was, yeah.
Yeah. Was it a pill?
It was a pill, yeah.
Blue?
No, I didn't get into the blues until later when I found out that I had probably been doing fentanyl, so there was no point in just trying to get the weaker stuff. I might as well just go all out.
Mm-hmm. What was it?
What was what?
What you got from him the first time?
He said it was hydrocodone, but it was this just like little white pill that had no markings on it. Yeah.
And did that scare you at all? Like this doesn't look like the pills I had. Maybe it's not legit.
Yeah, it did scare me, but at that point I was just so like infatuated about like looking cool and like living like, I don't know, like trying to look hard, I guess.
Okay, so how many times did you get it from him? A bunch of times or once or what?
Yeah, I got it from him like 20 times. Like,
was he charging not a lot?
Yeah, he was charging him pretty cheap. He would sell me for like, he'd give me like 10 pills for like $40.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Did he, so after like getting it 20 times, did you start getting it other places?
I found other things. That was the first time I had done mushrooms. It was, I got these dried mushrooms from someone I knew at school, and I took them, and then I'd like to say I had some like spiritual experience, but I just got high.
That's usually what people think when, I mean, a lot of people do mushrooms to go on a spiritual journey.
Yeah, I wasn't doing that. I just wanted to get high and hallucinate. I don't know.
Did you hallucinate?
I did, yeah, but it wasn't in like the way I thought I would hallucinate.
How was it?
I thought it would be like all like cartoony, but it was just like things were kind of moving more, and
pattern like?
Yeah, and I was a lot more interested in certain things. Like I would stare in my mirror for like 2 hours, or I would like eat a tub of peanut butter. I just was like kind of zombie like. I remember I was doing that and a bunch of other stuff, and I started eating like this pastry thing in my fridge and peanut butter. I would always eat peanut butter when I was high.
You said you were doing a bunch of other stuff, like what?
ketamine, um, really just anything I had. Coke.
Cocaine.
Yes.
The ketamine when you're snorting it.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing for like 2 years.
You like going to the K-hole?
I like that. Yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I ever even did that drug. I did it a bunch of times too.
Mm.
The guy that just dropped you off, that was his primary.
I was talking to him about that in the car.
He
yeah.
loved it. Loved it. So you were doing K at this point. The cocaine. You got any Coke? Was Coke expensive?
Yeah, I was like, I paid like $300 for an 8-ball.
Are you kidding me? Like, where were you getting this kind of money?
I had money like saved from like birthdays and stuff. I just never spent any money at all.
Oh my God, $300 for an 8-ball, and you were how old?
I was 16.
16.
Yeah.
Doing Coke. Did you get into crack?
I never bought crack, but I dabbled in freebasing it on my stove.
From the Coke that you had?
Yeah.
By cooking it up with baking soda and all that?
Yeah, and then.
And how did you learn how to do that?
I saw it on this movie, and then I looked it up online.
So here's the difference between me and you. At 16, you were freebasing, and you could look it up. At 16, I was freebasing, and we didn't have anything to look it up. There was no internet.
Yeah.
But we knew some people, and that's pretty much how we were freebasing. And it's not normal for 16-year-old kids to be freebasing. It's not normal for anyone to be freebasing.
No, it's not at all.
But for 16-year-old kids, like that's a very, very serious drug. Not to say all the other stuff that you were doing before wasn't serious too. Along the way, in your journey of drug using as an adolescent during that time, was there ever fleeting thoughts or feelings of, this is not good?
Yeah. I'd had them constantly. I would always like question, like, am I addicted to this? And then I'd just be like, no, you can stop at any point.
Okay. So then you got into, after Coke, what else did you get into?
I'd been selling drugs, so I had a lot of money, but I'd stopped doing that because I didn't have a car and I was scared to get arrested. So I stopped doing that. I didn't have any money, so the next best thing was to just drink and then mix it with anything that you're not supposed to drink with. So I would go and steal bottles of like cough syrup with DXM, and I would drink those, or I'd get a bunch of Benadryl and eat like 40 Benadryl.
So you would steal the cough syrup?
Yeah.
Kids do that a lot, don't they?
Yeah. There's something called like triple C's. They're like pills that you can take, and people steal that a lot.
They take the pill with the cough syrup?
Just the pill itself, like snorting it. It's a
that'll
yeah.
That's the equivalency of cough syrup.
Yeah.
And kids just talk amongst each other and tell each other about that, and that's why they go out and get it?
Yeah, it's kind of known as like the easiest thing you can do, but like the most degenerate thing you can do.
Why degenerate?
Because it's like you're not buying drugs, and like the high is not an enjoyable high.
But it's something that's giving you a head change.
Yeah.
What about Benadryl?
Benadryl I liked because it would make me really anxious when I took it at first, because it would make my legs like shake a lot. But then I'd reach this like plateau where it was just like my whole body was just like a void, and I could just like sink back into a chair and like become nothing.
Was it a good high?
No, I remember once I overdosed on the cough syrup, and I'd taken 20 Benadryl with it, and I was laying on my beanbag in my room, and I could feel myself start to choke, and it was like I had a fully sober conscious, but I just couldn't move my body at all. Like I was paralyzed. So like I was like spitting up a lot of like drool and stuff, and I could feel myself like choking on my tongue. And I thought in my head like, oh, like I'm never gonna do this again. Like I got scared straight, I thought. But then like a week later, I was doing it again. Yeah.
Whoa. Were your parents ever on to you?
They had caught me drinking like many, many times, but it's not something they like. My mom was concerned about it because she doesn't really drink, but my dad didn't think it was a bad thing because he had, had his party time. He always tells me.
When he was younger.
When he was younger, and he didn't have a problem because of it. And he still drinks, and he thought like it's okay. Just don't do it in excess.
Hmm. Did you when did using all these drugs start to catch up to you or become a problem for you?
I had been failing 3 years of high school, 3 years in a row. Like my freshman year, I did really good in high school, like straight A's. And then after that, when I just kind of gave up and the only thing I wanted was to get high, I just gave up at school and didn't try at all. And my parents had noticed this and they were like, "What's wrong?" And like, I didn't know what to say. So I was just like, "I'm depressed." Like, I didn't want to tell them I had a drug problem. I just wanted to tell them, like, I'm just not feeling good. And they like helped me get through school, basically. Like, I'm super grateful for that. They helped me get through high school a lot and graduate, really.
Mhm. So you graduated
Yeah, I graduated
on time.
on time. Yep.
You got sober at 17.
I got sober at 17. Yeah.
Were you in rehab? Were you an outpatient?
Yeah, I went to an IOP called 417.
Before that, did you need to go to get detoxed?
Yeah.
Where does a teenager get detoxed?
I don't know I don't really have a memory of it. Like,
Was it a hospital?
it was a hospital. Yeah.
Because I don't often hear of like teenagers going to detox like in a treatment center.
Yeah. It's usually like a residential or something that
Yeah.
kids go to. But yeah, I was at a hospital.
What did you detox from?
I just everything I had been doing so many things so often at that point. It was like the second I just stopped doing it and got sober for a little bit, I just felt my skin start to crawl.
You were doing the blues at the time?
Yeah, I couldn't.
For those that don't know, can you please tell them what the blues are?
Blues are pressed M30s Percocet pills that are pressed with fentanyl. So it's not really.
It looks like an M30. It looks like a Percocet pill.
Yeah, it looks like a Percocet pill, but
It says M30 on it.
it does say M30 on it, and it is not really Percocet. It's fentanyl.
Do you know who's making them?
When I was in college, I remember they had this guy from the Homeland Security come and talk, and he was saying people can do it like people are doing it at home, or in Mexico, the cartels are doing it because the chemicals to make it are so cheap.
Mm-hmm. Or China.
Yeah, or China.
China will make it, distribute it through South America, and that's why every single state in our country, the United States of America, is flooded with the blues.
Yeah.
There's so many people that are addicted to the blues.
And then they just keep getting younger. I have a friend who's like 14 and he's already overdosed like 3 times.
Did you ever overdose?
Yeah.
Off of blues?
Yeah, and then once off of all the cough syrup and everything else I was taking.
And then what's an overdose like?
It's just kind of like you slip back and like start to relax, and then someone hits you with a Narcan, and then you're just like, it tastes really bad, first of all. And then you kind of just start like coughing up and come to, and it's just like, it's not a good experience.
So you saw me on TikTok way before you got sober.
Yeah.
Probably like 15 or 16 years old.
Yeah.
What do you think of me when you saw me on there talking about what I talk about?
I thought it was cool. I didn't think it was like, I didn't have any like negative feelings towards it, but I also didn't have like any like positive feelings like, oh, I'm going to get sober. Like I thought it was just an interesting thing to watch and get educated about.
And then you saw me in real life.
Mm-hmm. At an AA meeting, I think.
And you just realized right then, like, that's the guy from TikTok?
Yeah, I think it was your girlfriend, Dana, right?
Yeah.
She took 4 years.
Yeah.
And then I saw you at that meeting.
And she just took 6. Wow, it's been 2 years.
Yeah. And then I saw you at the meeting. I'm like, oh, is that guy from TikTok? I still have the picture I took with you from like a while ago.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of youngsters that find me in those rooms that they know me from TikTok.
Yeah.
Or they know me from social media. It's interesting because that I usually know just by a conversation with them. If they're talking to me, I'll say, so why did you choose me to talk to about this? Oh, truth be told, like I saw you on Instagram or I saw you on TikTok. And she just took 6 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it's been 2 years since I first met you. Now, what stuck Like, why did you decide to get sober and stay sober? Because you seem like you're very serious about your sobriety. Here's the sad thing. I bring a lot of people on my podcast. We talk about recovery. They're very serious about the recovery, and you can tell like they're all like doing the deal, right?
Mm.
And then every once in a while, like once in a while, they'll call me and say I relapsed, which happens. I mean, it's not, relapse doesn't have to be a part of everybody's story. And for God's sake, I hope this never happens to you, because you've already not just dabbled with, but you've danced with the devil. Like, you've done some of the most serious, heavy drugs that could kill you. But I heard you recently, and I heard the way you talked, and your recovery really is contagious. It's like attractive. Like, if I was a young kid and I was new in recovery, and I saw a guy that got sober at 17 and he's 18 talking like that, I'd be like, I got to become that guy's friend. I got to learn like what Micah's doing, because that guy seems comfortable in his skin, and you do seem comfortable in your skin. You're part of a group of people that are young, that are very, very happy to be sober. So why did you take this so seriously?
Well, at first I didn't. Like, when I had gotten caught, it was like 5 a.m, and my mom came in my room. It smelled like weed. I'd been doing a little bit of meth, a little bit of ketamine, drank, and I was like bouncing around the walls. And then she kept saying, "What's that smell? What's that smell?" I'm like, "It's nothing. I burnt a candle or something."
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually they searched my room and found some weed, but they didn't find like the powders I had, because I unscrewed the wall socket, like to plug stuff into the wall, and I put the stuff in there, and I screw it back on like before and after I use.
That was always a good hiding space.
Yeah, always is. And then they caught me. They sent me to the treatment and stuff, and then at my outpatient, I pretty much just bullshitted my way through that. I would do DMT from these like vapes, or I would.
They actually have DMT in vapes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anything I could get that wouldn't show up on a drug test. So I would huff like paint or computer duster or Axe body spray.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't get, I talked the talk, but I basically wasn't walking the walk. I was just bullshitting my way through there.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't wait for the second I could get out and just start using again.
Were you inpatient?
No, it was an outpatient.
Outpatient.
Mm-hmm.
417.
Yeah.
Just living at home and going and doing outpatient?
Yeah.
And bullshitting your way through it.
And bullshitting my way through it, yeah.
So then what was the turning point?
I had some friends over from the treatment place, and they brought alcohol, and we drank. And then
while you guys were all in treatment, you guys were hanging out getting drunk?
Yep.
Oh my God.
And then I had remembered my dog had a surgery, and they prescribed him tramadol.
Oh my God.
So I went into my parents' bathroom, and I dug through all their stuff to find my dog's tramadol, and we did so many of them, and it didn't do anything, I don't think. I didn't even feel drunk. I just felt so...
Did you know that tramadol used to not be a scheduled narcotic?
Yeah.
And that was like to the equivalency of an opiate. And then afterwards, they made it a scheduled drug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I did get drunk and high, I think, but I just was not enjoying it because I felt so guilty.
Why?
Because like up until that point, I had like a month of sobriety where I hadn't used anything at all. And I was feeling good about myself, like that I just was actually being honest about what I was doing. And then I did that, and I was just like, oh, dude, like what's wrong with me? So then obviously we went to the thing the next day and got drug tested, and it was positive for tramadol and alcohol.
It showed for tramadol.
It showed for tramadol and alcohol. And then they sent it to like Quest Lab or something to like see how much we had taken. And it was a lot. I told them I just did one shot.
They're like, sure.
Yeah, it wasn't. We finished 2 bottles of vodka. And then,
God, you guys were smashed.
yeah. The guy who was like the group therapist, his name was Dwayne. He was like, he's like, he didn't like scold me or anything. He was just like, what's it going to take, dude? Like, you've obviously been lying to this point. And it got me thinking, like, what is it going to take? Like, I can't even be sober for the 3 months I'm supposed to be here. It's been 6 months now. I can't stay sober for 3 months. Like,
you kind of got sick of your own shit.
Yeah, I got sick of my own shit. Like I know I was saying, like I got sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really that. I was just more like disappointed in myself that I couldn't even kick it for 3 months. Like, and there was no one telling me like as soon as I leave here, I can't do it again. Like, even one of the workers there was like, you know, we're not telling you to be sober forever. We're just telling you to be sober for 3 months so you can figure some shit out. And I couldn't even do that. And then my friend, who was younger, took me to an AA meeting, and I really loved it there. Like, the people were really nice, and everyone had these like crazy stories that I thought were funny, and there were some weird people there. I thought it was like a really entertaining show, but that's all I thought it was. And so I had showed up for like 2 months and didn't have like a sponsor or anything, and then eventually I relapsed again. And that was the time that I drank and did the tramadol. That was the relapse. That was the last time I used.
Wow.
Yeah. And I hadn't told, when I got caught, I just told them we drank. I didn't tell them we do the tramadol because I had hid the bottle. I had actually stolen the bottle a while ago from them and hid it in my room, and was waiting for like the perfect time to use it. But I went to a meeting that night, and there was this guy taking a 5-year sobriety chip, and it was the day before Halloween. And I saw this guy taking his chip, and he seemed so comfortable in his skin, and everyone was saying nice things about him, and he was laughing, and he had this smile on his face. And suddenly, like everything I loved about AA, I just hated at that point. I hated this person. Like, I didn't hate him because anything about him really. I just hated that he had what I wanted, and he made it look so easy. And I just formed this kind of just deep rooted resentment about this guy. Like, he's not really sober. Everyone in here is lying, you know.
Wow.
It's just a farce. And I just showed up to meetings like full of hate for like 3 months. Didn't get a sponsor, didn't work the steps, didn't do anything like that. I would just show up and judge people in my head and think like, oh wow, 30 days of sobriety. Wow, crazy. You're fucking lying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I did eventually get a sponsor, and he would take me to his home group. It was this book study meeting at the sober living called the Doghouse. And that guy who I hated so much sat next to me every day for a year, every Friday at the thing. And it's just like slowly these things started like piecing together. And I was like, this guy's not such a bad guy. He's actually really cool, and he's helping a lot of people, and he's really genuine. I don't think he's lying. And then a year of sobriety rolled around, and I was there standing next to this guy who I hated so much, taking a year of sobriety, and he was taking 6 years.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah. And it was just like this crazy, like, I want to say it was like a spiritual experience.
That is a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. I was just like,
It's like God just placed a person in your life for you to re-see again later on.
yeah.
After you felt a certain way, and then now you're like taking a birthday right then with him.
Yeah. And, you know, I took the chip with him, and he's one of my good friends now, like someone I call when I'm struggling. Or
Is he younger?
no, he's older.
Yeah.
He's an older guy. But you know, he just got engaged, and like I'm happy for him somehow.
Nice. Like you care.
I care, yeah. I don't just think, you know, people are lying scumbags anymore. Like, I actually like people, which is really weird. I've never been like that.
So now you're sober how long?
A year and like 5 months. Five months, yeah.
Beautiful. And you'd gotten in trouble with the law a little bit when you were out there, right?
Yeah.
And you're cleaning the wreckage of your past.
I am, yes.
For work, do you mind talking about that?
Yeah. I couldn't keep a job at all in my using, and now I have 2 jobs that I absolutely love.
And one of them is teaching kids to swim.
Yeah, I'm a swim instructor.
Did you grow up swimming?
No, I totally bullshitted for the interview.
Oh my God.
Yeah. but it
But you
ends.
know how to swim.
But I know how to swim. Yeah, I just
You know
don't.
that I was a star swimmer growing up?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I took state champ in Utah.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I loved swimming. So when you told me you were like teaching people to swim, I thought like maybe you were a swimmer, but you weren't even a swimmer.
No, I wasn't a swimmer. I just enjoyed, enjoy water things. Like I have fish tanks and I like to surf but I saw this job and I was like, oh, that can't be that hard, teaching some smaller kids how to swim. So I applied for it and I got the job, and I was kind of scared at first because like I needed to get all this training done because I'm working with smaller kids.
Yeah,
But it ends up being something like I love to do.
I love it.
And I've actually recently just got another job for my sponsee's mother actually hired me at like her treatment place. It's in high schools. So I'll go to different high schools throughout the day and run like groups.
This is awesome.
Yeah,
You're sponsee, so you're sponsoring people.
I am. Yeah.
You've actually gone through the process and had your spiritual awakening. Now you're helping people.
Yeah.
Mostly teenagers?
Yeah. Mostly teenagers. I get a little weirded out if like I were to sponsor like a 40-year-old dude.
Well, here's the thing. I got weirded out when I first met you, took the picture of you, we exchanged numbers, and then whenever you text me, I was like, like 17-year-old kid, I don't really know about that. And I wonder how serious he is. But like, as I kept seeing you in the last 2 years, I was like, this kid is like here to stay.
Yeah.
And this is a very rare occurrence in my life. I don't always see youngsters get sober and become this comfortable in their skin.
Yeah. And that's what I really enjoy staying in AA, like AA particular. Like I go to other meetings, like a CA meeting or
I love CA.
yeah, I love CA. But AA in particular, it's good because when newer kids come in, like it's kind of, at least it was for me, kind of like daunting to see all these older people with like 15 years of sobriety. And it's like, I have nothing to relate this guy about. Like,
No, I understand completely. But you know what? We need you. We need you in this recovery community because you are the inspiration. And if you continue to stay sober, which I really pray and hope you do, then you can keep helping these youngsters know that there's a different way of life. Kids shouldn't be snorting nothing.
no.
Kids shouldn't be freebasing nothing. Kids shouldn't be getting pain meds and going through drawers to get tramadol. No, but they do. A lot of kids will become very curious, and a lot of kids will just be experimenting, and some people's experimental phase will turn into full-blown addiction. And we want to be very cautious of that. And like, I like that you're working with high school kids in a rehab. That's what you're going to be doing, or you already are.
Yeah.
Running groups. This is remarkable, like monumental. It's so dope. I love that. Good. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. You should be proud of yourself, really. You overcame a major demon. Your parents are probably really happy with you.
Yeah. Kind of.
Are you misbehaving?
I do on occasion. Yes.
I mean, you're 18. Like, how you can't always walk a straight line, but at least you're not getting high.
Yeah.
Does the thought of using ever cross your mind?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, it hasn't been peaches and rainbows, right? I hear people talk about something called like a pink cloud.
Yeah.
It's like, I never had that. I've always, I would come in and feel like shit, and then I'd leave the meeting and I'd feel better than I was. So I just kept coming back.
Do you have
And,
a higher power in your life?
I do. Yeah.
You feel it?
I do feel it. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like just a really beautiful and fulfilling way of life that I've never experienced before. And it's like, I thought I was having fun when I was using and like fit in, but it's like I've never felt more comfortable and more joyous and happy than I do right now.
That sounds kind of like the pink cloud lifestyle. You know what? This is what I always thought about the pink cloud philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
If you come in this path of life and you become awakened to who you are, and you realize who you were or who you thought you were, and you can distinguish the facade from the recovery, and you feel good when you wake up in the top of the day, or when you help people, when you sponsor people, when you're just involved in other people's lives, pink cloud never needs to go away.
Yeah.
Because you're just like on a good one every single day. You're happy to be alive.
Yeah.
And really, you got to know your condition. You have to like recognize like, holy shit, I was like doing some pretty major drugs that not all the other kids in my school were doing, let alone like I got in trouble with the law. I got in trouble at school. I almost tanked the whole opportunity. At least you got to finish your school, right?
Hmm.
Which is great. Your parents did help you.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. Good. And look what you're doing now. Like you're helping kids learn how to swim. You're helping these kids learn how to stay sober. You are an inspiration.
Hmm.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. I definitely feel like a sense of accomplishment. But, it's not always, like I said, peaches and rainbows. Like
Not
sometimes
always. No, we all have our days.
I'll have my days or weeks or months or whatever. But, I do eventually always come out of it and feel better than I did before and have the experience, maybe not to help myself, but help other people.
Okay. Well, then with that said, I mean, people are probably going to zero in on this particular podcast because you're a teenager that got sober super young. And so they can learn a lot from you, especially if somebody is having their kid watch this, or if a kid is curious and they themselves happen to plug into this. I want to ask you, can you put some positive energy into the universe? And if there's any youngsters that are out there that are struggling to get sober, or even have gotten sober but are struggling in the beginning of the recovery, can you just tell people like what?
Yeah.
What,
So,
something?
if you're struggling with not even just addiction or alcoholism in your life,
We can edit this out. This camera's been cutting on and off.
I know.
So I'm gonna try to, we'll just kind of pause here, but we want that, like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So let's just let this chill. This is with the new fucking charger. So there's something, what I'm thinking is because that camera looks fucking amazing color-wise and that one doesn't ever cut off, there's gotta be something going on. Now we're isolating because we changed the dummy battery,
Yeah.
right? That's obviously not it. We thought it was because we didn't have a problem for the past month.
Yeah.
But now the problem is
Internally in the
isn't
camera?
Something's going on, so if we can have Chuck look at it and see if he can get it to match the coloring, then that might not point, but there might be an issue overall with this particular camera. So,
Do you think I should return it and get a different one?
I mean,
Was this a brand new one I bought?
this is brand new. This is,
Should I just have him talking to that?
no, that one went dead because that was the battery that I just had delivered today. That went dead at the beginning.
Oh, so that
all
one's
we've been doing is I've been flipping these, and then this one started fucking cutting off, and I'm like, son of a bitch, what next?
oh, so that
Just
one's
let the fucking volume
that one's
stop.
been dead this whole time.
Fucking rushed it, just bring it.
Huh? So that one's been dead this whole time.
Yeah, it was done at like 3-4 minutes in, because it just didn't have enough. They don't ship them with a full charge. They ship them with like 3/4 half charge. But all right, when you hear the little ding ding thing, you can just put out there whatever you want to put out there.
oh, if you're struggling with anything, not even just addiction, like any problems in your life, I just want to say it's going to be okay, but you got to want it to be okay, but it'll be okay.
All right. And with that said, we're going to sign off. I'm so glad you finally were able to come on here. I've been talking to you about this for a while.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, subscribe to the channel. It's Pesci's Recovery Corner. It's on my Pej Interventions YouTube channel, or you can subscribe in any other podcast platform and like and share as much as you possibly can. And until next week, we're going to sign off. Much love. Bye.